cried today? Oh my God, sun rose in the east. What is this sun doing? How many of you cried today? No. Why did your opinion puts you in stress, not the fact? I tell you a personal example. My wife hasn't talked to me for the past 2 days because of slight domestic issue. In the forenoon today, she sent me a text message. Please don't be a stressor in my life. That sentence became stress for me. Her sentence, please don't be a stressor in my life. And that sentence was a stress for me. Just imagine I am thinking like that. My wife sent me this message, don't be a stressor in my life. She does not love me. Okay, my 2 sentences. What was the first sentence? My wife sent me a message, please don't be a stressor in my life. What was the second sentence? She does not love me. She hates me. Why did I have stress? Reason is very simple. The first sentence didn't create any grain of tension in me because it's a fact. It was her message. It reached my mobile. It's a bygone event. But based on the first sentence, I baked, just like a piece of cake, I baked an interpretation. What was that? She does not love me. She hates me. And something like that. And that interpretation, that opinion creates me stress. Take any example from your life and just check. Is it a fact or is it an opinion? We cannot change facts. You cannot change the short-tempered nature of your spouse. But you can change your opinion that because of this man, I ruined my life. I could have accepted the first proposal from Bihar. Then I would have been in ecstasy. That man from Bihar is giving stress to another woman in Rajasthan. That may be another funny fact. So whenever we are blanketed in stress, our first and foremost duty is to check, is this a fact? Is this an opinion? Tomorrow I am going to meet Aishwarya Roy. This is an example, don't be jealous. This is just an example. And she is waiting for me. I am waiting at the airport to enter my plane. Suddenly, the most tragic announcement in my life comes. The flight to Mumbai is cancelled due to bad weather. I will be in tension. Do you think that it is because of the cancellation of the flight? No, never. It's a fact, I can accept it. But I sandwich an opinion hand in hand with this fact. What might be that? Oh, whenever I embark on doing something fine, misfortunes surround me. Whenever I plan to have something in my life, it ends in Waterloo. Am I right? Are you getting my point? Facts do not generate stress. On the other hand, opinions generate stress. Ice cream is cold. It's a fact. But if I say like this, ice cream is cold, if I have it, I will have sore throat. If I have ice cream, I will have a running nose. That opinion will create tension in my mind. My daughter scores 17 marks out of 100 in geography. That's a fact. The progress report speaks volumes about the mark. This fact does not create tension. But my opinion that if this girl continues to study like this, she will definitely hold a begging bowl in Chennai. That opinion will make my headache. So the first syrup. I think you might have got the cream. Facts, okay, accept them. This is the cream of Stoic philosophy. You might have heard of it. We cannot change the ugly traffic, the nasty behavior of other people. They are facts. But we can change our opinions. I told you about my wife who has sent me a message. That's a fact. I can change my opinion. Despite her hesitation to talk me, tonight I will approach her and bless her with a hug. And I will definitely tell her, I love you. I simply changed my opinion. Syrup, spoon 2. One of the symptoms of an approaching nervous breakdown is the belief that one's work is terribly important. Credit goes to Bertrand Russell, the Nobel laureate. Should I repeat? Yeah. One of the symptoms of an approaching nervous breakdown, the very words might terrify you. One of the symptoms of an approaching nervous breakdown is the belief that one's work is terribly important. You might have seen some office-going people always discussing about their responsibilities, duties. You may invite your cousin to have an excursion in Kulu Manali. No sooner do you invite him for an ecstatic stay in Kulu Manali than he will say, oh, no. Next week, I'm very, very busy. I'll be as busy as bees. I am very, very important in my office. Parents often proclaim during the month of March, I have to be here with my daughter who is studying in nursery, LKG. We might laugh at the parents. We might ask them, hey, the child is simply studying in UKG or LKG. No. The syllabus is very, very heavy. If I am not with my child, he will be as lazy as a donkey. We have put a simile also. Our daughter, who is as beautiful as a prince, is compared to a donkey. What happens here? I think that my work is terribly important. In this connection, I would like to invite your attention to two famous formulae formulated by Robert Elliott, the famous psychologist. There are two rules that might help you to eliminate stress. What is rule number 1? Do not sweat the small stuff. When I tell you the second rule, you will get the whole meaning. What is the rule number 1? Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't cudgel your brains thinking about the small stuff. What is rule number 2? It is all small stuff. It is all small stuff. Can you believe? That's your choice. If you believe that your big C, cancer, is a small stuff, you can enjoy yourself. That is what Maya Angelou has done in her life. You might have read a lot about Maya Angelou. She had traumatic experiences in her life, but she enjoyed her life. Helen Keller, she was blind, she was deaf, she was dumb. It was small stuff for her. But I have had a minor bruise in my thumb. I proclaim, I visit the houses of my relatives, I take my Facebook account, Twitter, Instagram, and proclaim, oh my God, I fall upon the thorns of life and I bleed. My dearest angels, we should always bear in mind these two rules. Rule number one, don't sweat the small stuff. You might have heard of Jiddu Krishnamurti. It was as cool as cucumber, as cold as ice. One day a person asked him, why are you so cool? He simply retorted, nothing matters, man. For us, a small idli matters. Hey man, I paid 40 rupees one day. I remember my visit to Rajasthan. I bought 4 idlis. They charged 640 rupees. I was taken aback. I was in deep stress. It was heavy stuff for me. I called the manager of the hotel. If the owner of the resort were there, I would have even invited him to my table. What is this? One idli costs this much amount? It's small stuff. So I repeat, if I think that I am terribly important in this world, if I think that I am terribly important in this office, if I think that I am terribly important in Yellow Pond Counseling Center, if I think that I am terribly important in Deccan Positive Mental Health, then I will be in tension. Rule number one, don't sweat the small stuff. Rule number two, it is all small stuff. Spoon, stress syrup, so spoon number 3. Credit goes to Anne Lamott, the famous psychologist. She said, almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes. You might have come across some problems with regard to your mobile. What will you do? You will simply switch off and restart. Am I right or not? But in real life, we do not do like this. Your partner barks at you. You respond with 3 triple barks. You do not unplug yourself. No. What are you thinking about me? I am the GM. I have had black belt in karate. What are you thinking about me? I won't unplug. I won't unplug. I will show you who I am. Anne Lamott exhorts us to unplug for a few minutes. A lot has to be discussed regarding each theory, but our time is limited. Abby is waiting for her great, beautiful speech. So I have to be as crispy as possible. May I repeat the sentence? Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes. In that sense, one day of quarrel is good, but it should end by sunset. Unplug it and allow the relationship to bloom with fresh fragrance. Your mother-in-law, usually mother-in-law is the villain, father-in-law can also be the villain. We can adopt the famous theory propounded by Dale Carnegie. Let the telephone ring. If, suppose I dial Dinagara Rao sir. and he does not respond my call. What will I do? I will repeat my call. And if he does not answer my call, what will happen? The conversation will never occur. Am I right or not?
Yes.
In the same way, if my member of the family, or if my relative, if my spouse, if my children create stress in my life, I can simply think that they are ringing my mobile. They are ringing my number of tranquility, peace of mind. I am not going to answer them. Let the telephone ring, yeah. After some minutes or after some hours, what will happen? The mother-in-law, father-in-law, the short-tempered uncle, the impatient aunt will stop. She will have no other option. The Hobson's choice left for her is to stop barking. Let the telephone ring. I printed this sentence on my wall. Even if I am a psychologist, actually I'm a student of psychology. Even if I am a student of psychology, I efface the memory of these sentences. I may forget these sentences. So I deliberately pasted these sentences on my wall. Let the telephone ring. This is not my circus. This is not my circus. You might have watched Jumbo Circus. Can you see all players playing all items? No. Sajeev will have a particular item. So when his item is announced, he will come to the stage and perform. Am I right? So if your wife shouts at you, if your wife expresses an opinion with which you cannot agree, simply tell yourself, this is not my circus. On the other hand, if you say like this, no, this is my circus and I will play till 9 p.m. I will see the end till 12 p.m. Have it. The neighbors will have a beautiful circus show to watch. So don't forget the two lines. Let the telephone ring. This is not my circus. You will have a discussion at the end of the session. I do not have stress. He had stress. Because he lived his life on the whims and caprices of his father. Many of us live our lives based on trusting the opinions of others. Am I right or not? Somebody comes and tells you, hey, what an ugly pimple this is. This does not suit you. Suddenly, we will go to Ambika Pillai and have a golden facial. Suddenly, we rush to medical shop and buy something that will root out this pimple. But then the very next week, another person will approach us and tell, where was the pimple? It was so beautiful. Where was the pimple? You are nothing without that pimple. Again, stress comes. Ernest Tebova, the famous psychologist, and the next stressor up. If you live your life based on the whims and caprices of others, you will be like the popcorn in the popcorn machine. You might have gone to theaters. You might have bought box of popcorn from salesmen. You will order one packet of popcorn. What will he do? He will put some popcorn in the machine, switch on the machine will start working. Popcorn has no choice. It will wriggle out there, and after some time, it will be in the cup. We have to be like the popcorn machine. I have to be the director of my life. I have to write the script of my life. Otherwise, other people will dictate, other people will direct my life, and I will have to live my life based on the whims and caprices of other people, and I will be just like the popcorn in the popcorn machine. If you ask me to pick out the most beautiful definition of stress, then I will have no second thought. I'll simply quote the theory of Miller. I studied his theory in detail. He defined stress by using three words. Stress is choice. If Andrew Michael chooses a thought that will create tranquility, I will be happy. If Dinagara Rao sir chooses a thought that will create tension, he will be in the blues. Relationships often cause stress. The immediate members of the family generate stress. Our children will cause stress. Dave Willis gives us a stress syrup. He says, you can choose stress. You can choose happiness. You can choose to love each other even in those moments when you struggle to like each other. Yeah, I struggle to like my wife. For example, my wife may struggle to like me even though I am so handsome. Gem of a man. She may struggle to like me. But she can choose to love me. She can have this opinion. Love is commitment, not a feeling. Stress comes down. Stress comes down. Love is a commitment. It's a feeling. Every day in our life brings a choice. Every day brings a choice. To practice trust or to practice peace. It's a choice. You might have read this sentence. Stressed, if read backwards, will turn out to be deserts. STRESSED. You can read it in two ways. Stressed forward. If you read it in the backward direction, it will turn out to be deserts. It's your choice. Life is a beautiful experience for all of us. But we make it complicated. That's why the famous writer Oscar Wilde once said, very few people live. Others simply exist. Very few people feel the rain. Others simply get wet. Think, to which group do you or do we belong? I'm transferring the mic to Abby. Before that, one last theory. If you want to test your memory, try to recall what you were worrying about 1 year ago. Joseph Kosman gave us this stress syrup. Very humorous sentence. If you want to test your memory, try to recall, try to remember what you were worrying about 1 year ago. Can any one of you recollect what you were worrying about 1 year ago? If somebody says, yes, I will tell you a date, January 12, 2020. Can you remember what you were worrying about on that particular day? No. But still I worry today. Remember, my dearest angels, after 1 year, after 2 years, what you worried today will not be in your memory. So my humble request is to enjoy yourself, leave, feel the rain. Life is rain, feel it. And when Happy finishes her talk, I will be there. And if you have, I'm not busy. I'm as free as a bird. And if you are generous enough to sit with us, we can have a chat and discuss the points we heard. Thank you very much for your presence. And I invite Happy. I repeat, she's a blessing in my life, but for her, I wouldn't have been able to pen this beautiful book. She was very tolerant. Her patience level increased. Her ability to love people like me broadened. And before meeting me, she was not like this. She was not as patient as she is now. And I thank her. And I thank all the respected, loving, and lovable learned members. And I will be happy to discuss each and every point I shared through the metaphor this syrup. Thank you.
Good evening, one and all. Thank you, Andrew, sir. That was such a wonderful session. Thank you so much for that. And also for your kind words. Thank you, Deccan Positive Mental Health, for giving us an opportunity to talk about our book. It was my biggest honor to be able to work with Mr. Andrew Michael, sir, who has more than 20 years of experience in the field of psychology. When you talk to him for 5 minutes, you will come to know what an expert he is in juggling with psychology, psychological theories, and also every now and then he will use one or two quotes in his conversation. So it's an entirely, a totally different experience to work with Ando Michael sir, and I'm lucky to be one of the persons. Now, let me come back to our book, Stress Syrup. Ando Michael sir has explained some of the theories. Actually, we have included 40 theories in our book. 40 theories in our book. He has explained some of them only. This book, Stress Syrup, will be useful for those who are learning psychology. It will be useful for trainers and motivational speakers. They can keep it as a handbook. And finally, those who do not know anything about psychology. The highlight of this book is its simplicity and humor. We have included, as I told, 40 theories, and all these theories are being explained in that book with day-to-day experiences from our lives. Let me continue from where Andrew Michael sir left off. He has explained some of the theories. I will take chapter number 1. Our first chapter of our book is about ant. We call it in Malayalam Urumbugal. Ant. You know about that ant, that normal, regular ant. How many of you know that ant has a different meaning? I think most of you must be knowing, isn't it? Because it is very famous. It is based on the theory by the famous psychologist Albert Ellis. ANT, ant, stands for automatic negative thoughts. Ellis noticed that negative or distorted thinking falls into different categories. Negative thoughts about oneself, about others, about the world, about our future. We may take it silly, oh, what is this ant all about? But these ants can spoil our life. It can become overwhelmingly stressful, but can be overcome with simple techniques. We all know that the average human brain does a lot of thinking, up to 70,000 thoughts per day. The majority of these thoughts are negative and seem to pop up out of the blue. As Buddha said, nothing can harm you as much as your own thoughts. So we have to be careful about what we think. There are two main reasons why we have automatic negative thoughts. Having negative thought is perfectly normal, and to some extent, negative thoughts exist to keep you safe. We all know how our ancestors survived. They had to face a lot of threats in life. They had to be alert all the time. They had to fix the problems as they arise. So it is our natural tendencies to imagine potential threats and problems. This will enable us to solve problems before we get into trouble. Second reason is this becomes a problem when it becomes repetitive. That is, when it becomes a habit. Researchers prove that 90% of all our thoughts are repetitive. By thinking repetitively, including negative thoughts, we create a neural pathway. It becomes our habit. We know how hard it is to break a habit, especially a bad habit. So it creates stress. We said having automatic thoughts are normal, it exists to keep us safe. Then how can it be harmful? That is explained in our book, Stress Syrup, in the first chapter. If it occurs randomly, as I told you before, if it occurs randomly or frequently, this capability to imagine threats can also turn against us. It becomes harmful. Negative thoughts cause chronic stress. Every negative thought we have changes our brain chemistry. It will reduce the production of the beneficial brain chemicals like feel good neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. It will reduce its production. Also, this will slow down the production of the protein required for new brain cell formation. It will cause to shrink the size of the brain by enlarging the amygdala, the brain's fear center. It will accelerate the brain's aging process. So these are the harmful effects of having these automatic negative thoughts. To some extent, it is helpful, but if it goes beyond the limit, these are the side effects we are going to have. In his theory, Albert Ellis has talked about 12 automatic negative thoughts. Normally, we would be aware about these negative thoughts, but after reading our book, Stress Syrup, we'll get a clear picture about these 12 negative thoughts. It is explained very simply with beautiful, funny examples. The first one is reverse alchemy. Most of you must be knowing about what is reverse alchemy. It is transformation of one element into another. We can change riches to rags and rags to riches. Here we change positive elements to negative. That is why it is called reverse alchemy. Say, for example, if someone gives us a compliment, we tend to discount it. Suppose someone tells you, you look really beautiful in this dress, and you are telling them, oh no, I know these dark colors don't suit me because I am not fair. He or she is giving you a compliment, and this is how you reply. This is reverse alchemy, changing the positive into negative. The second ant is emotional reasoning. It is a cognitive process that occurs when a person believes that he or she is feeling what he or she is feeling is true, regardless of the evidence. Even when there is no evidence, the person believes that this is true. What I feel is true. This is emotional reasoning. It is like I feel guilty, so I must have done something bad or wrong. We judge ourselves based on our own feelings. I'm feeling inadequate, so I must be worthless. These are all very harmful negative thoughts about ourselves. I feel afraid. I don't know. I feel scared. So I must be in a dangerous situation. It is like I feel it, therefore it must be true. This is thinking with your feelings, emotional reasoning. The third ant is binocular trick or catastrophizing or magnifying. You know the meaning. Exaggerating things. It is viewing or presenting a situation as considerably worse than it actually is. Suppose you make a small mistake at work and you think it will ruin the project. You are working on some project and you think it is going to spoil the project. Your boss will be furious and you will lose the job. See, you made a small mistake and see how your thoughts develop. Another example, if I fail this test, I will never pass the school and I will be a total failure in life. This is how this type of ant becomes harmful to us. Fourth one is demand or masturbation. The spelling is Musterbation, masturbation. It is like being ruled by must or shoulds. Shoulds refer to the implicit or explicit rules we have about how we and others should behave. When others break our rules, we are upset. We get upset. When we break our own rules, we feel guilty. Either way, it is harmful. We may have an unofficial rule that customer service representatives should behave nicely. And you are going to a place or supermarket and you meet a person from customer service and that person is not behaving nicely. And you conclude, this person should behave nicely to me. And you get angry. This is masturbation or demand. Mental filtering. Next, and. Filtering means what? We are filtering something. It refers to the way a person can ignore all the positive and good things in life and focus on only the negative side. It's a trap of dwelling on a single negative aspect of a situation, even when surrounded by an abundance of good things. This is mental filtering. Mind reading. Another ant. With this ant, you think you know what another person is thinking. Simply making imaginations what the other person is thinking. You wrongly assume their thoughts are about you. Of course, and definitely that will not be a good thought. You assume that that person is thinking about you something bad. This is mind reading. Suppose you are entering a hall or party hall and seeing a group of people discussing something and laughing. You assume that those people are discussing about you and laughing at you. This is mind reading. Next is labeling. Labels can become a self-fulfilling prophecy for you. and can damage your relationship with others. So we have to eliminate negative labels like that, like I'm fat, I'm lazy, I'm stupid, I'm a loser. All these things you have to avoid. These are the labels that you give to yourselves or someone else. We should not be labeling others and ourselves either. Moving on to next ant. Black and white thinking, all or nothing thinking, or polarized thinking. Using words like always. This person always comes late. She is always lazy. Using words like never, every, it's a hallmark of this particular ant. This is all or nothing, or black and white. There is no shades of gray in between. If you don't perform perfectly in some area, then you may see yourself as a total failure. Instead of simply recognizing that you may be unskilled in that particular area. What did you understand from this? This labeling. Catch yourself. Next time, when you say to yourselves, I'm never going to lose weight. You are always late. You are always like this. Everyone understands this except me. These are all labels which we give to ourselves as well as others. Next ant is fortune telling. If your reaction to any new idea is, that is not going to work. Some people are like that. Whatever you tell them, some new ideas or something, they'll suddenly react. I don't think it is going to work. This is fortune telling. You may suffer from this common cognitive bias. We predict things without any evidence or basis. If I travel by bus, I will vomit. So I don't like to travel by bus. This is fortune telling. Next one is low frustration tolerance. People with this ant are easily frustrated, even for the minutest things like traffic jams, or if that person listens to a baby cry, they get irritated. They have that low frustration tolerance. Such people want immediate gratification. They gave up challenges. They don't take challenges. People with low frustration tolerance are more likely to have negative emotional outbursts in emotionally stressful situations. Next one is overgeneralization. It is taking a single incident or a point in time and using it as the sole piece of evidence for a broad conclusion. Overgeneralizing. For example, someone goes for a job interview and couldn't pass the interview. Instead of brushing it off as one bad experience and trying again, the person concludes that he or she is terrible at interviewing and will never get a job offer again. This is overgeneralization. These people are always like that. Last and that is personalization or taking things personally. Most of us do that. A person with this ant will feel that he or she has an exaggerated role in the bad things that happen around them. That happened because of me. This will be their thought. Suppose a person becomes late to a meeting and believes that it is because he or she was late, their company could not get the quotation for the project. And everything would have been fine if that person was on time. So self blaming or taking the blame, personalizing. If a friend or family member or co-worker is grumpy, it's probably because he or she had a bad night, or maybe because overwhelmed with some sort of work, or is worrying about something. But a person who is affected by this and, that is personalization and, might think that he or she is the reason for everything. This also causes stress. So they should understand that the world doesn't revolve around them. These are the 12 automatic negative thoughts that we have explained in our book Stress Syrup, as I told you, with funny and simple examples. I have only spoken about only one chapter. I told we have 40 chapters. Amazing or interesting names we have for all the chapters. Like Sir explained about the popcorn machine, then Dinkmeyer syrup, stress capsules, Ikigai, 9 jewels, Pollyanna, where are you? That's a beautiful chapter. Let the telephone ring, Sir explained. Bundy Chore effect. Question behind question, QBQ. Ando Sir is an expert in explaining QBQ. What else is possible? Art of quarreling. How to quarrel. We hate quarrels, but he explains how to quarrel beautifully. It's an art. Siberian North Railroad, Noonji. It's a Korean meditation. This is not my circus. So what? This is another chapter. So what? Gurlazin Bernalia. Put it in the neutral. He explained it. Change the channel. These are all the some of the chapters in our book. And one good news I would like to share with you is most of the money raised by selling this book has been donated to Magic Planet, which is run by Professor Magician Mudugad sir. So I don't think we can include all the chapters in 1 hour. So this is what I want to tell you about the book Stress Syrup. Thank you. Over to you. Thank you for listening.
No, we need not, stress should be there. That's another point. Stress should be there. For example, I have to catch up the train. If I do not have stress, the train will go away. So we should have stress, but it should be beautifully managed. That should be the approach. If we